Hello and welcome to Nine's Morning News. Just in this Tuesday, popping the cork on a landmark trade deal. Australia and the EU ink a long-awaited free trade pact, locking in security agreements and allowing our exporters to continue calling Prosecco, Prosecco. Teens killed in Sydney's west, colliding with a bus, family and friends paying tribute. CCTV films a landing plane smashing into a fire truck, and hear what air traffic controllers said seconds from disaster. Happening now, 30,000 teachers walk off the job in Melbourne. Victoria's educators furious they're the lowest paid in the country. Queensland clamps down on e-bikes, under 16-year-olds banned. Essendon's senior leaders face the music, promising to turn their season around. And would you like fries with that? Robots taking over fast food restaurants.
This is 9 News with Deborah Knight.
Good morning. We'll begin with that news just in of Australia and the European Union signing a significant trade deal which has been a decade in the making. It means Australians will have access to cheaper cars and allow our exporters to continue selling European foods like feta and Prosecco. Let's go live to our federal politics reporter Emily Saunders, who is in Canberra for us now. So Emily, what else has been agreed to here?
Well, Dad, this is all very new. The Prime Minister and the EU President Ursula von der Leyen signed this deal just a short time ago, but we know this will give Australian farmers greater access to about 500 million more consumers right across the EU. It is also allowing our wine exporters to, for now, keep exporting their product under the name Prosecco and dairy exports under feta, something we know has been contentious during all these discussions. In return for that access to their markets, Australian consumers will now also be able to buy European goods like their cars, farm machinery and their spirits, all at a lower cost. The deal inked this morning as the EU President prepares to address our Parliament.
This agreement is worth $10 billion to the Australian economy on an annual basis. Our relationship with Europe is grounded in our shared belief in democratic values.
There is something unique about the partnership between Europe and Australia. It has matured over time, steadily and consistently, building on individual stories and a shared view of the world.
A deepening of our security ties has also been agreed to today. The next step, Deb, is for both us and the EU to ratify the deal in their respective parliaments.
And Emily, truckies and transport operators will get government help in the wake of the growing fuel crisis, but everyday motorists are still feeling the pinch at the Bowser.
They are, Deb, and the government is moving, though, to ensure that the price shock that we are seeing at the pump is spread right across our supply chain instead of being paid for mostly by these transport companies. The federal government is allowing them to amend some of their longer-term contracts and any new ones that come up to make sure they don't take the brunt. And this comes, though, as concerns grow as to the effect this crisis could have when it comes to our food supply. Farmers warning of the effect it could have starting now.
We're at sowing season, which means the seeds go in the ground. And if you don't have the fuel to plant it, then it doesn't go in.
We're heading towards Easter. Diesel's over $3, unleaded's heading to $2.50. Families are really struggling.
The government is taking practical action now to ensure our supply chain keeps moving.
The premiers are also calling for a united approach to these fuel shortages that they want led by the federal government, Deb, to avoid that COVID-era confusion when it came to rules we saw just a few years ago.
All right, Emily with the latest. Thank you. We're learning more this morning about two teenagers killed in a crash in Sydney's west. The 14 and 15-year-olds were on a motorbike when it collided with a bus at Bosley Park. Alex Heinke is at the scene for us now. And Alex, family and friends have been back there this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Deb. Look, tragic is a gross understatement in a situation like this. As you mentioned, family and friends, well, they have been here across the course of this morning. Perhaps 50 or so have really been coming down, placing flowers, placing notes. And I guess the awful thing is one of the boys family homes is about 10 metres away. Some of those family members were the first on scene here last night. As you mentioned, we're also learning more about these two young boys, Adrian Lai and William Drake, just 14 and 15 years of age. Social media has been flooded with tributes as well. They had a deep passion for motorbikes, it is clear, and they were best mates. So tragic that they passed away doing what they loved. It was last night about 8 o'clock, as you mentioned, here in Bosley Park on the T-Way, the transit way, which is used exclusively by emergency vehicles and buses. Those two young boys were on just one single motorbike when they struck a bus. Here is a witness that spoke to us last night.
I saw this little kid get hit by a big bus. We were just going through. He saw the bus hit about a U-ey and this guy went straight under the bus.
Yeah, near unimaginable grief being experienced by two families here this morning, Deb, in Bosley Park.
All right, Alex, thank you. A young Canadian pilot has been identified as one of the two victims of a runaway collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport. 30-year-old Antoine Forrest died instantly when his Air Canada Express jet slammed into a fire truck that had been cleared to cross the runway. Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair has more.
Touchdown turning to tragedy in seconds. Oh, God. The Air Canada plane travelling at speed when a fire truck crossed into its path. The light of day revealing the extent of the damage from the impact. Two pilots killed, the cockpit a crumpled wreck. The fire truck mangled and on its side. 72 passengers and 4 crew were on board the flight that landed at LaGuardia Airport, hitting a vehicle with 2 officers inside.
Initial numbers indicate that 41 passengers and crew were transported to the hospital, as well as the ARF officers.
Some seriously injured in the tragedy captured on air traffic control audio.
Stop truck 1, stop. Stop truck 1, stop.
The vehicle was responding to another aircraft operated by United that had reported an issue with odor.
Travellers at one of New York City's main airports left stranded for hours as investigators, not planes, positioned on the runway.
They made a mistake. It's a dangerous business. That's terrible.
Tens of thousands of Victorian state school teachers and principals are walking off the job right now, rallying in Melbourne's CBD. Eliza Rugg is there for us now. So, Eliza, what are these teachers demanding?
Well, Deb, these teachers here say they'd rather be in the classroom with students today, but they have no choice but to be here striking over pay and conditions. We've seen 32,000 teachers go on strike in Victoria today, around 10,000 here in the city right now. What they're doing is they're rallying here at Trades Hall, then they'll make their way up, take a march all the way up to the steps of State Parliament to deliver a message to the government. They've rejected the government's pay offer of a 17% pay increase over 4 years. What teachers want is a 35% pay increase over 3 years. They also want improved conditions. They say the teaching workload is unsustainable and too many of them are leaving the profession.
We have the highest paid premier and we're the highest performing state in education. So if we're the education state, we should be paid as such.
I thank our teachers. We remain at the negotiating table and I look forward to working through this with the union and supporting our teachers with the best offer we can provide.
Public schools across the state asking parents to keep their children home from school today, warning they could only provide supervision in a limited capacity. But while this has caused major disruptions across the state, Deb, teachers have warned today they may take more industrial action if the government doesn't put a better deal on the table.
Eliza on the strike action in Victoria. Infamous baby killer Kelly Lane has been granted special supervised release from prison to support her long-term partner, who is suing his former employer for unfair dismissal. Patrick Cogan taught at a Sydney school for decades before being sacked last year for allegedly using his work email to engage with media about his girlfriend's high-profile parole battle. Lane is serving a maximum 18-year sentence for murdering her newborn daughter in 1996. Still ahead in Nine's Morning News, first social media, now e-bikes. The blanket ban on riders under the age of 16 being passed in Queensland. A military aircraft plummets with more than 120 passengers on board. And Donald Trump claims talks are underway with Tehran to end the war, but Iran has a different story. This is Nine's Morning News, back right after this. Children will be banned from using e-bikes and parents could pay the price under landmark new laws coming to Queensland. Andrea Crothers has more.
Well, these are landmark laws made in response to a surge in injuries from e-bikes and e-scooters as the devices increase in popularity. The Queensland Government accepting all 28 recommendations to come out of a state inquiry into e-mobility devices. That means children under 16 will be banned from riding. Those aged 16 and up will require a learner licence. Parents could be punished if their kids break the law. Police will also get powers to seize and destroy non-compliant devices, as well as to randomly breath test riders. The Transport and Main Roads Minister says these are nation-leading laws.
This is a comprehensive suite of measures that will make the use of e-mobility devices safer.
Legislation will be introduced to Parliament this week. The government says there'll be a transition period and an education campaign, with the new laws to take effect from July 1.
The US president has delayed strikes on critical energy infrastructure in Iran, claiming discussions are underway between Washington and Tehran to possibly end the conflict. But Iran says Donald Trump is spreading fake news. Washington correspondent Lauren Tomazi has more.
Certainly this is the most optimistic and the most conciliatory tone we have heard from Donald Trump when it comes to any resolution with this war. He says there have been really strong talks between the two sides and that as many as 15 points have been agreed upon. And while that seemingly is a really big step forward, the issue here lies in Tehran's complete denial that any talks or negotiations are actually underway. Iranian officials have rubbished the US president's assertion, saying it's fake news in order to manipulate markets. Donald Trump says that's because their communication systems are down.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement.
The US president says a meeting between the two sides will be scheduled very soon, but with two very contradicting sides, there are a lot of questions.
There are fears dozens of people have been killed in a plane crash in Colombia's south near the border with Peru. The Hercules aircraft was transporting 125 soldiers when it came down shortly after takeoff. There have been contradictory reports of the status of those on board, some officials saying 48 people were injured, others putting the figure at 77. America's controversial federal immigration agents are now operating at 14 airports across the United States to help with crowd control. Recently, passengers have been forced to queue for hours as thousands of transportation security staff refuse to work due to the fact they're not being paid. A shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security over funding means they haven't received a salary since February. Disgraced US comedian Bill Cosby has been ordered to pay $27 million in damages to an 84-year-old woman over a decade-old sexual assault. Donna Motzinger successfully argued the entertainer drugged and raped her in 1972. The civil jury finding him liable for both assault and battery. He maintains the encounter was consensual. A manhunt is underway for 3 hooded arsonists after a fleet of Jewish ambulances was firebombed in North London. The attack is being treated as an anti-Semitic hate crime. Europe correspondent Mimi Becker has the details.
Many here in the Jewish community say they're now angry and fearful after being targeted in what's being treated as an anti-Semitic attack. 3 people wearing hoods were seen using accelerant to set alight 4 community ambulances that were parked near a synagogue here. That was around 1:45 this morning. Now, counter-terrorism police are investigating this incident, but at this stage, it's not being treated as terror-related. Dozens of people had to be evacuated from their homes, but luckily no one was physically injured in this attack. There has been widespread condemnation of the attack.
Anti-Semitism has no place in our society, and it's really important that we all stand together at a moment like this.
An online group with links to Iran has claimed responsibility for the crime. That is now part of the police investigation. Here we've seen members of the Jewish community and others out in solidarity. They want to take a stand against the hate.
I think it's the most ridiculous thing to do, considering that the ambulances serve the whole community, the wider community. They're there purely to help people.
The Jewish community do not want those who did the attack to force them to live in fear. So that's why they say they've taken to the streets here tonight.
Thousands of netball fans will be frozen out of this year's grand final, with Melbourne's Rod Laver Arena already booked for a Disney on Ice show. The Super Netball Grand Final on July the 4th will instead be moved to the smaller John Cain Arena, which seats around 5,000 fewer people. The Victorian government has hosted the final exclusively for the last 4 years. Coming up on 9's Morning News, AI with a side of fries. See the McDonald's being run by robots. The giant breathing sausage dog in the middle of a shopping centre. And in sport, England completes its review of the Ashes, so are the coach and captain safe after their historic loss? This is 9's Morning News. More right after this. Sports now, and Essendon senior leader Carl Langford has leapt to the defence of under-fire coach Brad Scott. Scott accused his men of playing selfish footy in their huge loss to Port Adelaide, but Langford insists they can turn their season around.
Scotty over the last 3 years has really changed our culture, and this is my 12th year in the system, 12th year at Essendon, and I can confidently say this is the best I've felt about this group and the direction and the hunger of this group. We just need to be able to translate that into performance.
The Bombers have started their season with 2 60-point losses, leaving them on the bottom of the ladder. It's been a shaky start to the NRL season for defending premiers the Broncos. They're still the team in plenty of people's eyes, including the Dolphins, who are out for bragging rights in Friday's Battle of Brisbane.
Obviously, where Broncos are at the moment too, obviously winning the premiership last year, they're the standard this year for us, and we can't wait to play them and hopefully get one over on them.
Tonight, Ryan Couchman is facing the judiciary for the first time in his young career, facing a lengthy ban for a hip drop tackle on Jermaine Hopgood. Thursday's Sheffield Shield final will be a memorable one for Victorian bowler Scott Boland, regardless of the result, with a veteran to play his 100th career Shield game.
Yeah, every game I can play for Victoria's. It was a good one. I love playing with these guys. They're young and confident, and I think we're going to put on a good show this week.
The Test star played a crucial role in securing Victoria's last Shield title back in 2019. And after a lengthy review, the England Cricket Board has decided to retain coach Brendan McCullum, despite their 4-1 Ashes demolition last summer. McCullum and his captain Ben Stokes have both kept their jobs, which the chief executive of the board admits won't necessarily be a popular decision. England now promising to adapt and evolve, particularly when it comes to selection. McDonald's is often the first job for many teenagers, but now the robots are coming for that too. Diners at a Macca's in Shanghai giving their orders to a humanoid robot behind the counter. The AI-powered figure was dressed in the signature uniform, serving meals while greeting and interacting with customers. And McDonald's insists this was just a one-off to mark the opening of a new science and technology museum. And this is what happens when art comes to life. Meet Sunshine, the giant breathing sausage dog. It became quite the spectacle for shoppers in the South Korean city of Seoul, many shocked by the scarily realistic appearance of the dachshund, lying down with its ears flapping. The gallery behind it has built a reputation on turning shopping into performance, combining retail and experimental art. Stay with us. Your weather details are next as we take a look at some gloomy skies over the Gold Coast. Taking a look at the national weather forecast for you now. Brisbane, 29 degrees with a shower or two. A bit cooler, 28 on the Gold Coast. Showers as well. A top of 27 in Sydney. Some possible showers. Partly cloudy, 27 in Canberra. 29 for Melbourne with showers increasing. Much cooler, rain and a top of 18 for Hobart. 31 in sunshine in Adelaide. Sunshine 2 in Perth, reaching a top of 28 degrees. A shower or two in Darwin. A top of 31 with a flood watch in place for parts of the the top end. Tomorrow, partly cloudy for Brisbane, 30 degrees, 29 and a shower or two on the Gold Coast, 28 in Sydney with some possible showers. Canberra, a storm brewing in Melbourne, 27 degrees. A shower or two for Hobart, reaching a top of 25. Adelaide, possible showers, a top of 27, 32 and sunshine in Perth. And Darwin, some showers and a possible storm, a top of 31. And that is Nine's morning news for this Tuesday. We'll be back at 4 p.m. with Nine's afternoon bulletin with updates throughout the day. I'm Deb Knight. Thanks for your company. From the team, see you soon.